Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Film Slam Streams. I'm Eric Siler, Professor of Communication, Film, and Media Arts, as well as moderator for this conversation. As we're waiting for our filmmaker to join us, I just want to remind you that you have the ability to ask questions. I'm really thrilled that our guests can join us, and you can put questions inside of the Q&A portal. Our conversations run generally for about 20 to 30 minutes, and this conversation will be no different. So in case you have a schedule that you're trying to keep with your class, please keep in mind that we will continue to keep the conversation in that time frame. And I just want to say good morning to our guests, or hello to our guests. Are you able to hear me? I see you're on mute.
Yes, I am. I just wanted to mute it in case there was some background noise.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us today. We have classes that are online, and they're going to be asking you questions. But first, I want to ask you, I'll talk to you a little bit about the film, and then I'll open it up to our students. And they'll put questions in the chat, and I'll read the questions. You won't be able to see them as well.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So welcome. We didn't have a chance to have a pre-conversation, so this is pretty cold. Can you tell me the correct pronunciation of your first and last name?
Yeah, of course. It's Meryam Joobeur.
Joobeur, okay. And your role was you were the director of the film?
I was the writer, director, and one of the producers.
Okay, wonderful. I was telling our audience right before you joined us, it was a wonderful film. I know it was nominated for an Oscar as well too. Can you give us a little bit of background about this film? Is it based on a true story or based on a situation that could have happened?
Yeah, of course. So have they seen the film already?
Yes, they have seen the film.
Okay, great. So the three brothers in the film are actual brothers, and I met them on the side of the road in 2016 by chance in the north of Tunisia, and I was really intrigued with their faces and just the landscapes of the region. And I actually asked for their photo, and they said no initially, but they stayed on my mind. And I also learned that in that region in Tunisia, a large percentage of men had gone to join ISIS in Syria. So the encounter with the brothers and that information I discovered kind of came together, and that's how I was inspired to make the premise for the film. So I ended up going back like a year and a half later, looking for the brothers and convinced them to act in the film, which they inspired.
Well, really, that's really great, because I was looking at the brothers and I was wondering, you did a great job of casting. How did you get the brothers to actually resemble each other? So it actually turned out to be actual brothers. The other characters, Mohammed, Reem, were they actors or were they actually people that you met along the way?
The parents were played by actors, so professional Tunisian actors who are well known in Tunisia. The actress for Reem, she was also kind of a novice. I did do a casting process for her, so it was her first role as well.
Okay, well, great. And how long did it? Where did you make the film, and how long did it take to make the film?
The film was shot in a small village in the north of Tunisia. The shoot was a 7-day shoot. Yeah, it was a week.
Okay. Well,
but then from editing and everything, I think the film, I think from script to finish was about a year and a few months. A year, yeah.
okay. Well, that's really remarkable how you put that together. A little bit of background about yourself. Are you Tunisian? Are you Syrian? Or are you a filmmaker? Can you give us a quick overview of your background?
So I was born and grew up in the US, but my parents are Tunisian, and I lived there when I was young. I went to college in Montreal, Canada for film, and I decided to stay there after graduating. So I've been in Canada for the last 10 years, and that's where I started my film career as a director and writer. And yeah, Brotherhood is my third short film.
Okay, well, good. Now, making this film, what has been the reaction? How has this film been received? I know critically it's been received well. How did your actors receive the film and other Tunisians receive it?
Uh, the actors were very happy. We had a premiere in Tunisia at the film festival there, and the brothers came with with their family, their parents, their sister, and my entire family came as well. And it was a great premiere in Tunisia. There were like 2,000 people. In Tunisia, it's been very well received, and we've shown it to pretty diverse audiences there. We've shown it to we've shown it in film festival, we've shown it in schools, we've shown it in even like a juvenile detention center, and the reception, thank you, the reception has been really, really great.
Well, I thought it would be great. I just want to remind everyone that you have access to the Q&A portal. Please put your questions there. We're talking to the director of Brotherhood, Meryam Joobeur, and I'll get to your questions as time allows. I know some of the questions coming in will probably be more specifically about the film. Let's talk a little more specifically about the film. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the symbolism that you used in the film, such as, using the use of the beach, the water, and the wolf, the lamb, and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit about your thinking in developing this story?
Sorry for the sound, I'm gonna cut it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can definitely speak about that. To tell you the truth, the film came about very instinctively. So um, I wrote the script very quickly, and at the time, I didn't really have in mind a very clear symbolic significance to everything. I knew that I was kind of attracted to the idea of, we never go to Syria, we never know what the Malik experienced, but I was curious of kind of bringing in elements of violence within the family's situation. So the slaughtering of the sheep, the sheep became kind of the symbol where you see it slaughtered in the beginning, then you see the mother kind of, cutting the meat, and then finally, like she's kind of cleaning the towards the end you see her salting the hide. So there is kind of this kind of symbolism with the sheep, kind of through it I bring kind of the color red, which is kind of in the film a lot, kind of um, also a reference to kind of blood and violence. um, and The wind, I think, kind of sonically became a symbol, which was like something we recorded on set. That was the sound that was in the room. So once I heard that in post production, I was very attracted to that kind of howling, hypnotic sound. And I thought it brought a lot of tension to the film. Yeah, those are the symbolisms that I think people were really attracted to when they watched the film or they would ask questions about.
Yeah, very, very powerful. Were all those symbols intended, or did some come about unattended?
A lot came about unintended.
Mm.
So, for example, the sound of the wind, it wasn't something I was aware of until we started shooting. The sheep, it was like I had written it kind of, like I said, instinctively. It wasn't fully fleshed out as a symbol until the editing. So once I started editing, I kind of, worked that into it. um, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the beauty. I enjoy that type of filmmaking, which is more spontaneous, like just making discoveries on sets. I'm not a very controlling director. Like I like to leave room for surprises. So a lot of it was discovered on set.
Okay, well, good. Well, we have some questions coming in. One question we have coming in is, uh, why did Reem not want to take off a veil?
Why didn't you want to take off the veil?
Exactly.
Um, the way that I thought about her psychology was, so it's revealed that she was a victim of war, right? So it's revealed that she was um, And I was kind of thinking about, I had read testimonies of women who wear the niqab, and I was researching and trying to figure out what's the allure and what's the reasons. And I fell upon like this interesting testimony where the woman was talking about how it feels like a protection. So I kind of played with that idea of she's trying to hide her face and her body as a form of protection. And at first we think it's kind of radical, she's wearing it for radical reasons. But then once we understand her backstory, we realize that she's wearing it as a way to hide. And that's why, like, she, as a character, she barely looks, she's always looking down, or when she's first introduced to the family, her eyes are on the ground. At first we think it's a modesty, but once we learn her backstory, we realize that there's more of a psychological reason to it.
Right, and I like the way, to add to that, I like the way you coincide that with the veil coming off and her backstory being revealed as well, too. That's good. Another question we have is, well, there's a lot of interest in Reem. Why did Malik decide to help Reem? And we find out why did he decide to help her?
Yeah, with Malik, because I mean, this was something that also inspired me, was this idea of when I met the boys on the side of the road for the first time, one of the things that I was attracted to is they were they were shy, but there was something very innocent about them. So when I found out that a lot of men from the region had gone, I kind of was trying to imagine them traveling there and traveling to war, and how it would be such a rude awakening, because in this region there's no running water. It's very, very rural, very isolated. And to imagine this young man going to Syria and seeing horrible things, the way that I wanted to kind of build his character was somebody who's naive, kind of being pulled into this thing and then getting there and realizing he had made a horrible mistake. So that was kind of the backstory for Malik. So the way I saw it is, he realizes he did a horrible mistake, and then encounters another victim of that violence and kind of is drawn to redeem himself through helping her. So that was one angle. Obviously, in terms of research, you know, there's a lot of different profiles of guys who go, and I was just intrigued about the profile of the naive guy who has father issues, who's kind of promised masculine validation and then gets there and realizes he had made a horrible mistake, which I heard cases of that, which is like they go, they get into training, they desert. A lot of the ones who desert end up, if they're caught by ISIS, are actually killed. So I was intrigued in that profile.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So I enjoyed the way you tried to match it to real life. I'm going to combine these next two questions. Is when Muhammad made a phone call, who did he call, and also what happened at the end with him yelling on the beach?
Yeah. So with the phone call, what I wanted to suggest was actually that he's the one who called the police. So he calls the police, and then he goes home. And when he goes home, he realizes his wife reveals, Reem reveals her backstory, and that kind of awakens him to the fact that his assumptions about his son are not entirely true, and he doesn't fully understand it. And in that moment, he has regrets, and tries to go find his son before the police come. So for me, it's a character who had a very black and white vision of the world, makes this decision based on that understanding, And then once he gets this new information that's completely out of his, he never had even anticipated, there's a moment of regret because he knows that he should have asked more. He should have communicated with his son. He should have tried to understand more before making such a drastic decision.
Okay. And the way you ended it, you decided to end it there at the beach with him calling out for his calling out. Why did you just end it like that? You wanted the viewers to come to their own conclusion what happens next, or did you have a conclusion in mind that you wanted the viewers to have?
I ended it there because, you know, like in terms of what happens next, you know, we see the son being arrested. I think it's hinted, I mean, obviously people can read it differently. It's hinted that the son is obviously arrested and this is gonna break the family even more. What I was interested in is the father's transformation, and that's why I chose to end it where I did. So when we're introduced to this character, we're introduced to somebody who's very, like I mentioned, very black-white. So I wanted to show his transformation. So that scene in that beach really is kind of like the moment where he's unraveled and his worldview starts to shift. So that's what I was really interested in, his journey, his transformation, how he evolves as a character.
Absolutely. And the water at the beach just adds to it. Water represents, cleansing and purity and so forth. So well done with that part there. We have another question that's come is, did you attend Sundance and TIFF, and what was it like winning?
Well, TIFF was the first festival that Brotherhood premiered at, and it was a really wonderful experience because I had initially, when I made the film and when I started the process of making the film, I had decided to kind of change my approach to filmmaking and like recenter what was important. So previous to Brotherhood, I had more of a desire for validation, external validation, recognition for my work. And I decided that I didn't want that anymore. And I wanted to make a film that was more from the heart and really focus on the process of collaboration and not add any pressure about that. So that's what we did. Like, I was very happy. I would have been very happy if we finished the film and we just showed it to the villagers where we shot. So then when it got into TIFF, I was really surprised. And also it was like very validating because I realized that by doing that new approach and grounding myself more in my art, that is the way, like that is the way to connect to people. That's the way that your work resonates. So to get that validation was really powerful for me because I had to kind of have a huge ego death to make Brotherhood. So I was very, very happy. And then we won the award, which was very, very meaningful because my whole family was there. And in making the film, I didn't realize that it could resonate to a wide audience. So that was the first moment that I realized, oh, this film resonates with people. Like there is something in the message that people are getting out of it. So I was very happy about that. Sundance was also wonderful. Yeah, so like I attended it, and it was again really great to get the feedback from the audiences and feel like it was resonating with people.
Yeah, it truly did. I mean, this film felt really personal. It felt as if you were sitting down and telling us the story of these characters. So we commend you on that. We're just about out of time. The last question I have, and boy, is also a question that came in as well too, is will this ever become a feature, and what is next for you? What is next for you on the horizon? Making this a feature or something else?
Well, I mean, funny enough, actually, when I was shooting Brotherhood, I had an idea of how to expand it into a feature. So that's what I've been working on since it came out, the script for that. I definitely want to do something different. I don't like, I'm not just expanding it literally. So I'm trying to do something different, explore different themes. It's going to still be the main cast, the three brothers, the parents, and the Syrian wife Reem, but it's going to be a different, it's going to be like an adaptation, a very loose adaptation of the short.
And that's your next project. That's what you're working on now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, great. Well, Meryam, this has just been a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You're joining us from Canada, I think it?
I'm actually in Portugal right now.
In Portugal, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, wonderful. Yes, we wish you all the best. We look forward to your future work. And on audience, we'd like to thank you for joining us as well for this invigorating and important conversation. For more information about the upcoming 45th Cleveland International Film Festival, please continue to follow CIFF on social media and visit clevelandfilm.org. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again. I'm Eric Siler.